The clock's ticking, TikTok. It's time to divest. Welcome back to Deaton Street. I'm Zach. He's Dustin. Today we're gonna take we're not gonna take a deep dive. We're gonna take a little kind of short little dive into the TikTok legislation that was just signed by the president, passed by the House and Senate, and what it might mean for the future of TikTok and social media. It's kind of techie. I guess it kind of works.
Yeah.
But before we do that, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We've seen some really cool growth over the past few weeks. April's been really good to us, and that's all because of you. We're really appreciative of everything so far, and let's keep this train rolling.
Mm-hmm.
So Mallett head, I guess we do have to preface this. I work in privacy. He works in tech. Neither one of us are lawyers. Take everything you're about to hear with a grain of salt, but we're going to try to give you the most accurate information that we can parse out.
Yeah.
That being said, what the heck's going on, Mallett head?
So, as you've probably seen, because maybe a lot of you have been on TikTok, TikTok is apparently being banned, for lack of better words, in a one way or another in the U.S. unless they divest, which is a new word that I've never heard before because I don't ever look into those things.
Divest.
They have to sell a portion or a pretty large portion of the company to the U.S. government in order, or no, you're shaking your head. What is it? I'm wrong.
To a U.S. business. Or
U.S. business, not the government, a business. Yeah. So in order for it to be regulated in the U.S. Now, the reason being is, in this, again, it's only stuff that we might have read or seen. It's not factual. We're not lawyers. Boom. It's because there is concern that because the parent company for TikTok, what is it again? Is it
ByteDance?
ByteDance is out of China.
ByteDance,
ByteDance. The parent company for TikTok, ByteDance, is out of China, and that has raised concerns as to how much the company has access to our data that you see in the privacy statement that no one ever reads, that they have access to boom, 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 ABC on your phone, on your account, blah, blah, blah. Do they actually need that access? I don't know. But that's the concern. So it's like the U.S. business wants to actually have some sort of control over that, or better monitoring over it.
So essentially what it is.
That's a very long explanation for what it's a little weird.
So essentially what it is that a US based company, say like the Apples of the world, right? They typically, in order for the US government to access their data, they need a warrant from a judge to access specific parts of information. Right. So like if they want your location data, the US government does, from Apple, they need a warrant from a judge. And sometimes you've seen in the past, when just a few years ago, Apple would fight those warrants and say, no, we're not unlocking this phone for you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So there are some protections that are built into privacy notices in the United States to keep the US government out of big data. Now, that all has to do with, privacy notices and things like that within the applications, because the United States doesn't have an overarching privacy law that protects user data like the European Union does. But the issue with TikTok is that the parent company of TikTok is a Chinese company.
Yeah.
Chinese companies don't have the same protections against government as the United States companies do. And so the Chinese government could go to this company and say, I'm telling you, give me all of the data on all of the Americans in real time.
And all of that data being several facets of your personal data off of your phone.
That specifically to the individual is certainly a concern.
Yeah.
But the aggregate is more of a concern.
Yeah.
To be able, like the type of inferences that you can make with big data the type of, let's say, political mischief that you could do if you're pushing an algorithm and you know who's susceptible to what. Like, we're not going to get political, but whatever side that you agree with could technically be manipulated by the Chinese government through TikTok.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, the younger generation gets a lot of their news from TikTok.
Yeah. That's terrible, but yeah, it's the sad truth.
So those are the concerns. It's a privacy concern, but it's also just an information control concern, because if you know anything about politics or governments, the Chinese government is run a lot differently than a lot of westernized governments, and they have a lot more control over what their populations see or can see. And the U.S. government, on both sides of the house or both sides of the political spectrum, they're concerned about the Chinese government being able to exploit not only user data, but also exploit the ability to influence Americans on a mass scale. So that's why they are being forced to either divest or essentially not be able to operate in the United States anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you said they're possibly be able to manipulate things like on the app. Now, this is definitely another instance of, what did Dustin read the other day?
It's a new
what article heading did Dustin not read the other day? And this is very well could be a fat rumor.
Okay.
But I don't see it being impossible if it is it's a real thing. They could manipulate what is pushed to like the US users versus the Chinese users. The China's users. And again, speculation, rumor, whatever. Don't know if it's fact, don't know if it's false. I saw that it was like the populace of China would get their TikTok view, and it was like more educational stuff. Versus the US stuff is like your TikTok dances, like your stupid content. And we had kind of talked about it the other day, and like you had like a good response to that, but I was like, it's still a scary thing to think about, you know, if that were to happen, like it kind of is a little possible.
It's certainly possible. I've not seen any evidence or any articles stating that in particular is happening. And kind of to lower suspicions and lower worry about all this, my response to that to you when we were texting was that you also have to consider that the effectiveness of TikTok, the reason it's so effective is because it's addictive and it's retention based, much like YouTube is retention based. And so TikTok as a company, its effectiveness to the Chinese government, or just effectiveness as an app, is its ability to keep people on the platform. And the way that you keep people on the platform is you show them things that keep them on the platform, and you learn about, that's like the algorithm. That's all the algorithm is for any of these companies, is learning what you like and trying to put more of that in front of you. And if that sends you down a crazy rabbit hole, in which it has for me and many times, YouTube doesn't care. Right? YouTube just cares that I keep watching.
YouTube cares that I still have their app open. TikTok cares that you still have that app open.
And so the concerns about, it may be dumbing down dumbing down Americans, while also it's being used for like educational purposes in China. That could certainly be true, but it's almost just a symptom of social media in general. That Facebook and YouTube and everything's doing that. We're here trying to help a little bit and try to, but that's just kind of social media. But those are the concerns too. Like, there are concerns that it can be manipulated and used like that. If you combine the topics that we talk about all the time on the channel, think about, it was just announced this past week that there is a Chinese company that has developed an AI system very close to Sora.
Yep. I literally just saw that article when we were kind of looking through stuff.
So you take that and you use that for state purposes, for government purposes, Chinese government purposes, and you put that on TikTok and you start using that as a offensive weapon, an arm of propaganda. I mean, that's the concern.
Yeah. I'm not on TikTok, but everyone here, if you have watched any of our old stuff, I'm just not an advocate for short form media. I mean, it's just me. I hate it. I consume way too much of it. I'm guilty of that. And I waste a lot of time. I would much rather watch a longer YouTube video. And I just deleted. I had a TikTok at one point. I've deleted it quite a while ago. I still have friends that send me TikTok stuff. You know, I'll open up the browser page and then like watch the one video. I'm like, all right, cool. That was funny. Get out of it. So it doesn't affect me any.
Right.
To have TikTok be gone one way or the other or whatever their situation is. You know, it's just, it's more the raise of concern as to the amount of data that is available for one way or the other, whichever government, blah, blah, blah. Like that's just the concern there. You know, it's some sketchy waters to traverse.
It is. And we don't know how this is going to turn up. Again, we're not lawyers. We're not predicting the future as far as legislation or
Oh, no.
the way that courts are going to figure all this out. Cause this will be litigated in courts. This will go, I'm sure, I don't know how high it'll go, but it'll probably go to like appeals and stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry in the next 9 years to a year. Cause I guess I am predicting that it's going to stretch out longer than that because of court battles. But certainly something's going to happen with TikTok. Either we're going to see an outright ban in which you're not going to be able to get into TikTok unless you use a VPN.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. You could get, no, I'm not even going to do it. But if you had a VPN service, you could, you know, hey,
you could get our next sponsor. No, we're not sponsored by anyone.
Hit us up. No.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right. But I mean, that's a very possible thing. I mean, you could definitely get a VPN service and then still have access to all that.
And the bill doesn't criminalize Americans' access. It makes it to where it can't be shown in the United States rather than like criminalizing your ability to get to TikTok. I don't have much else about this.
I don't either.
We're not going to take a stand here. We're not going to say ban TikTok or save TikTok. That ain't our space here.
It's more of the, hey, this is what it is. This is kind of the situation. It's a little weird, you know, it's a little fishy, whatever.
A little strange. And I do think for us, we probably will talk about it more as AI develops. Like it's kind of this is a part of the AI conversation in general, right? It's like state actors can use social media in order to push propaganda that uses AI to make it seem like something's happening that isn't happening. So that's kind of where we see everything falling together for us. We're not really ones to tell you to get on or off a social media platform.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. I mean, let us know down below in the comments, like what you think about it. Are you a TikTok user or does it matter to you one way or the other? Is the potential ban of TikTok going to wreck your life because that is what you live on? I don't know. Let us know.
Bring back Vine.
Yeah. Vine for the win.
Peace.
See ya.